Here we go. Let's welcome Tomi.
Hello. This is my best weekend, best conference I've ever had. That I really feel fulfilled. That this is not just family, but I really love every one of the stories I've heard. That what I consider my backyard, my technology, that it is being put to such good use and so well and so efficiently with such good people. You are doing great work. I'm going to forget if I don't say it immediately here now. You see, I tend to travel around the world. So I've been to many places. If you notice somewhere I mention on Twitter, I mention somewhere on my blog, or one of your colleagues somehow notices the story that, oh, Tomi is scheduled to speak at this conference here in Honduras, or Tomi is coming here to Kenya, or Tomi seems to be speaking here in Jakarta, or whatever. If I'm coming to your country, contact me. I will almost certainly have the time to meet up with you. If it was a business that flew me in, they will not find a Christian organization to be a competitor. So they will not have any problem with me spending time with you. And unless I have to actually fly out to the next country, I probably will have time to sit with you. I want to meet you. Your team, if we have the time, or your congregation, the technical, geeky people that you are hanging around with, I'd love to meet them. So if I'm around, that you see that I'm coming to your neck of the woods, then just, contact me and say, Tomi, it looks like you're coming here, would you happen to have, a moment time, before you fly out, etc. I will do my utmost to make time that I will meet with you, rather than a random game developer who wants to figure out a way how can they squeeze a little bit more money out of kids. So very good. Okay, so okay. Yesterday, my normal presentation would take the form that I start from the high level, and then I move to the more practical, look at the concrete topic we're talking about today, and then move into the future. Today, because of the 2 time slots, I split my presentation into 2 parts, so it kind of had gaps in it. So yesterday we looked at the big picture statistics. My immediate next step in most of my presentations is then next, let's look at the consumer behavior. The consumer behavior is one of those passionate things for me that I really love to study. Is how do people use the technology? What do they do? They're always crazy, silly, wonderful, weird statistics and examples that tend to come from that. Then we talked about the actual topic, what's happening with Nokia, what's happening with text messages, what's happening with, the kind of the technology, where's it going? And then I like to look at the end, where's the future going? And at the moment, my vision of near future in mobile will be augmented reality. So that was missing from yesterday. So this is part 2, the missing parts. So consumers and mobile. So I heard the number yesterday, wonderful, we have internalized 150 times per day. You need to forget the 150 number. We need to memorize a new number, it's 221. As your market moves to smartphones, we do not look at our mobile phone 150 times per day. Now the number is 221 times per day. The addiction is getting worse. The addiction is getting more. Now, how strong is this number? We just got some validation from Apple. iPhone. Apple measured that an average iPhone user unlocks the iPhone 80 times per day. On a typical unlocked session, you will typically have 2, 3, 4 things that you do before the phone is locked again or before you lock it again. And there are some things we can do without unlocking the phone where we still look at the phone, such as plugging it to recharge it. So if we unlock the phone 80 times per day, it is very closely consistent with looking at the phone 221 times per day. So it's just one of those nice numbers that we can start to use in our industry, that when we are talking about where is it going, for mobile, the addiction is getting worse, our usage is getting even more, because now we are looking at a mobile phone 221 times per day. What do we do with the smartphone? So this is a very good study that Pew did by measuring a group of people on an intense 2-week study where they interviewed them twice a day for 2 weeks. So they looked 1,600 users, and they had 14 separate surveys of their exact behavior. That this is one of the deepest studies that have been done of consumer behavior in the mobile space. Most surveys are just a single survey of the population, maybe coming back a year later and asking the same people a follow-up. But this was 14 separate surveys, very, very interesting. I want to point a few things. Most of all, we are bored. For us, this is a wonderful opportunity. Our flock is bored. They need a reminder. They're going to look for that solution for that boredom from their pocket. Let's make it easy for them to be reminded of God's word. Let's make it entertaining, engaging, relevant, powerful. But they're going there. And if they're not going to be listening to our issues, they're going to go and search for some Pokemons or throw some Angry Birds or do something else with their time. That in that sense, they're doing that. But 3/4 of the people of the most common thing they do with the mobile phone is killing boredom. But then look at this. Avoid people. Human behavior. This is us. Oh, he's coming. Oh, I'm on a call. Oh, sorry, yes, nice. I talked to you, but I'm sorry, I got it. we do that. We put on the earphones so that, I'm concentrating on something, so now people don't bother me, and so forth. Human behavior. Look at this. The mobile phone is the magical memory machine. We're using the mobile phone now as our memory advice, our memory assistant. One of my favorites is this example. People are taking pictures of their laptop screen. Why would I write something if all I need is to remember that image? I used to have always, for a very long time for my mobile phone, whenever I got an airline confirmation on a ticket or a hotel booking, I would write that onto my calendar onto that date. 90% of the time, the airline booking is perfectly fine. I'm always getting tickets sent by my clients who fly me somewhere, so I don't buy them myself. So when the booking comes in, 90% of the time it's fine, but 10% of the time there's some problem. Airline doesn't immediately find me. Something is wrong with the date, with the time, with the flight, with whatever, my seat or whatever. So I have the number and say, here's the booking code, and therefore they can look it up. Now, instead of me bothering to write that 6 digits, which is horribly a lot of effort in modern time, rather take that 6-digit code, the moment the email comes in, Tomi, here's your ticket, I take out my smartphone, I take a picture of the screen, and I have all the data of the flight, not just my booking code, but the time when the airplane takes off and lands, which terminal of the airport, etc. All of that on one screen, and the moment the flight is done, I delete this picture. I don't need it ever again. But in case I have a problem at the airport, I hand over my phone and say, here's the full information of my flight. Makes it even faster for that airline to find me and fix my flight on what's the problem today, etc., or the hotel or whatever it is. So, but now, I was thinking this is geeky behavior by me. That this is some just nerdy, stupid stuff that only geeks do. And then I see this nice girl at Starbucks in, I think this was Kuala Lumpur, I think it was, and just college student working, and then she takes a picture of her screen. And I was just like, oh, she's doing the same thing I'm doing. And so like, maybe I'm not that weird, and maybe she's working in the tech industry or something, and she did it a little bit later again, so it's a few years ago. And so then I interrupted a pretty girl, no motive, but pretty girl, I went to interrupt her and say, by the way, I'm a technology author. Can I ask you a few questions about this? Yeah, no problem. I said, do you work in the tech industry? She says, no, I'm a student. Studying biology or whatever. And then said, would you mind if I take a picture of you, just taking a picture of your hand with what you just did? And I explained that this is strange behavior, change in behavior, and I would like to tell the world about it. Said, no problem. And then she replicated the thing so that I don't secretly go taking pictures. I take pictures with permission. But in that way, there's a staged picture. I saw this happen, and then I asked her to recreate it. But anyway, now we have the issue. I think the coolest is the stage where some young people they see something funny on their friend's phone. They take their friend's phone in one hand, and then with their own phone, they take a picture of that other phone's screen to steal information from copy information, to have that same image or that same data, or to have some web page or whatever the cool thing was on the friend's phone. So that it's just a different way that we are using to enhance our memory. On usage data, on consumer data, we get a lot of data always from Western countries. Rarely we get information from the emerging world. Whenever I do find some, I try to share them, whatever conference where I am, with almost anywhere else. So this is recent data from China we got last year and it was smartphone ownership by age. When we think about the emerging world, China is at the rich end of the emerging world. So India, for example, is significantly less affluent. But China would be roughly on par with, let's say, Brazil, roughly on par with, say, South Africa. So in that sense. But this is somewhat indicative, and you can see the smartphone ownership skews very much in the youth end, as we would expect, and not so much at the old end. So in that sense, just information that is a little bit more relevant to the emerging markets than generic mobile information. Consumer behavior. How about this in terms of shocking people in the retail industry? 63% of people, when they go into the store, will be using their mobile phone to check on the prices and the availability of what's in the store. There's a related Mobile Marketing Association survey which said 49% of the students, of the consumers, when they have been inside the store, will walk out of the store because of something they discovered that's wrong with something they were intending to buy. But 58% will compare the same store's own retail establishment compared to that store's website selling the same product. So just that, why would these be different? Why would the company bother to do that kind of difference? If they have a retail place, then you're just getting angry customers if you're doing this and wasting the sale and so forth. So the kind of change, this partly explains numbers like this. Explain why the retail industry, why the travel industry, why the media industries, these are getting so alerted, alarmed by mobiles when they're getting numbers like this, that their whole world is now crumbling. And where is this leading in terms of human behavior? I think I talked about this last time, but this is, I think, one of the big things that will change humans in how we behave. First measured in New Zealand, we had a USA study by Pew in 2015. Half of consumers have been in a situation where they had an argument and they settled it by Googling it out of their pocket. So for example, one of the things that I like to do often is I have a quiz where I'll ask an audience and I'll throw some bizarre statistic and ask someone from the room to guess it. And a few times when I was doing this a couple of years ago, and the question was bouncing around for a while in the audience, and the right answer came in, and then I give out an ebook for the right winner, and then after the fact, the ebook winner comes to me and confesses that after no one was guessing the right number, I Googled it. And so I'm kind of delighted that, yes, they kind of cheated to get the right answer, and why not? I didn't say they're not allowed to, but then also at the moment I started to think that maybe I should stop with this game, that if it only leads to everyone Googling it. But from a practical point of view, half of the population is already so familiar with the information age evolution that they know the answer to almost any question, to almost any problem, almost any argument can be Googled, or we can go to Wikipedia, or we can get that answer from our pocket. That does mean the truth is in my pocket. And while I didn't have a religious thought to this when I originally thought of this slide, but for us this also is, again, a very, very valid, powerful tool, powerful concept that we should be thinking about. Our flock will be always having doubts, and always having crises, and always having concerns. Can we make it for them a natural instinct that also the answer is here? We offer them the Bible right onto their mobile phones. And we have the different lessons, and we have the different videos, and we have the different stories, and we have the different testimonials and so forth that we can give them, that they can find the truth. Or engage with them, build that truth for the others. Like we had the sharing this morning. Let's turn those little stories into things that people can share. And when our congregation finds something, a wonderful story, something happened to a family, we have that kind of affirmation, then let's put a little video about it, or let's put a little story about it. I love the ones with Indonesia, with the ones where we have the picture and just a small little note, like one paragraph, one sentence thought with a single picture. Stories like this, that we can find the truth. Because we know, we believe, but there are a lot who struggle. And they need that promise, and they need that confirmation and affirmation of how they believe. We have a magical tool for that will help us deliver that word further. What are we doing with the phone? Camera. Constantly underreported by anyone in this industry. Rarely do we find numbers on camera usage, camera phone usage, photographs taken, photographs shared, on the level of how much involvement it has in our behavior. In many cases, it's either the number one or the number two most used function on a modern smartphone is the camera. But when you look at the studies of what people report about mobile phones, they report the number of apps downloaded, which ranks down like fifth or sixth most used thing on the mobile phone. So that this is one of those things where there is a wonderful change going on, but it is underreported. We as an industry should be embracing and learning about this. But look, the average person shares 1.4 pictures per day. If they share 1.4 pictures, they will definitely be taking more pictures than that. So I'm estimating it is between 2 and 3 pictures that the average person takes snaps per day. Young people take more than 1 selfie per day. That it's like the normal behavior, which then leads to this. Actually, plastic surgeons have noticed that now men and women are getting more plastic surgery because the close-up picture in selfies reveals all the little things that, oh my God, so just this is the kind of silly stuff that happens with our technology, and again the consumer behavior with it. So now then let's move to look a little bit at the future of where we are going. So augmented reality. For now, especially after Pokemon Go, very much of the industry understands in general what augmented reality can be and what it might be. But I love this explanation from Brett in explaining the difference between VR and AR. Virtual reality closes us from the real world. So we hide away from the real world into virtual reality. Augmented reality opens up the real world into more, so that we can have a historical view, we can have an enhanced view, we can have a more entertaining view, or whatever our experience into the real world. So that is the difference between VR and AR. What kind of stuff we can do in this space? There are lots of innovation in this space. One of them comes from the area of makeup. There are several companies that now have these magical mirrors that ladies, and why not some men who use makeup, that they can test the makeup before they apply it. So then they don't have the problem of accidentally that color was a little bit off and now I have to take it off and do that whole messy thing. So just after they've done their eyeliner, then see which lipstick fits it and test it on the smartphone and see it before they actually apply it. Very simple little idea, but again, apparently I'm not very much using makeup myself, so I don't know from personal experience, but some ladies seem to love this, that this is very useful in helping them with that part of their routine. But how about this from IKEA? So IKEA was the ones that first did the one where you can set your furniture, test the augmented reality furniture in your room. So you take a picture, you take the video of what view of your own living room. Like in this case, you see here there is no sofa here in this room, the real room. And then I select from the IKEA catalog that which sofa do I want, the Anna, the Benny, the Björn, the Agneta, the silly Swedish names that they always have, IKEA products always have. And so Sweden used to be Finland's king, so we can call them silly. So But anyway, so this is part of the cool thing with the IKEA catalog overall. One of the functions they have is that now their latest augmented reality app will also include virtual measurements. So just by scanning your room, it will give actual measurements of what's the size of your length of your wall and so forth, so that they have that kind of intelligent algorithm on it. What IKEA noticed with their catalog was that because the catalog is the measurement on how the sofa or the bookcase or whatever is seen. It is based on seeing the cover of the catalog. So the catalog becomes the tool that if I place the catalog here, then the chair comes here. And select from the catalog. So it becomes now a toy. Family has fun playing with the kids and selecting items from, would you like a red chair? Would you like a sofa here? And then they jump around and play with the virtual furniture and get pictures around it and so forth. With this, IKEA noticed, because the catalog is of course free, normally digital will disrupt print and destroy print industry, but look what happened to the catalog. The catalog sales is catalog publication is 5 times bigger now than it was before they introduced the AR catalog, the AR function. So just weird effects of what happened with digital. Cars are now, car makers are looking on how can I make my truck see-through so that the guy behind can see through the truck what's the traffic behind it, or Mini that we can see through the engine, or through a door that we can see when we're parking it, that we can see where the curb is, etc. So we're putting kind of see-through elements that we can see through the engine onto the road and things like this. Technology that steals ideas from the military technology of the goggles and head-up displays, but bringing that kind of technology into consumer cars. So these will soon be in our cars as well. So the kind of merger that we have with the smart car, with the mobile technology is all coming. I told this story to some people yesterday. So Audi did this virtual reality drive that they created a virtual map of Singapore 50 years ago, historical Singapore. And anyone in Singapore, local citizens, could go and drive in the old Singapore and have that experience and see it. This was done on stationary Audi cars, so you would actually get the experience of driving inside an Audi car, but then view the old Singapore. It was partly as a historical gimmick, but of course it was also a test drive to get people to buy Audis. So they had actually 6,000 drives in 10 days, as much as normally they get in 2 years, that amount of test drives through the Audi dealership. So this should have increased several times the total sales of Audis in Singapore. And then Pokemon Go. Some stories you've probably recently seen that the Pokemon craze has peaked, Pokemon is in decline, Pokemon is past, that this is no longer the hot big thing. That is again total nonsense, bullshit reporting. Pardon my word. But it really is absolute rubbish. Every single game, when it is introduced, will have a high initial download rate, and the actual usage number will decline, and the final user numbers are about 20%, 15% of the total peak of what was downloaded. And then with all games, there's a retention issue that over time, less and less of the really passionate users will remain with the game until a next edition is launched. Pokemon Go is in no way different from this pattern to anyone else. What we should be comparing is how does Pokemon Go compare to the other giants that have been launched, the Clash of Clans and Candy Crush and Angry Birds, and the biggest ever games ever been. And that is where we're getting numbers like Chetan says, Pokemon Go was 4 times bigger than Angry Birds in its original launch. Or, as I counted, Supercell, the world's largest mobile publisher, pure mobile game publisher, then Pokemon Go alone, the game matches Supercell's total sales across its whole catalog. It is by far the most successful game ever launched on any platform, ever. That was Pokemon Go in 6 months, in 7 months. In their first edition, as an experiment. Imagine how much they have now learned and how much more they will build upon it. And then just again, me and the devil approach here. The characters behind are Pokemon characters. This is also Pokemon character, but not from the original cards. So this character is Giovanni. He is a horrible white person, human being among the Pokemon space. An evil guy, a mafia-type boss, with a hat, black with white suit. He's a white guy. That's me. I'm Giovanni. I am again the devil, obviously. So even Pokemon has known Tomi and how corruptive I am. So the moment I learned it's Giovanni, I created a Giovanni alternate persona for me on Twitter. And sometimes you will see Tomi Giovanni Ahonen doing some evil Pokemon commentary on my Twitter feed. But anyway, so I fell at the moment, one of my Twitter followers, Tomi, did you know there's a Pokemon character look like you? No way. So anyway, but yes. But what can we imagine James Bond? Imagine James Bond applying Pokemon. I'm a James Bond fan. I can't imagine going collecting Pokemons. I don't have my own kids. I couldn't do it as a family experience. I never was actually a card collector, too old for that. But oh my God, if there was an equivalent thing to Pokemon Go for James Bond. Like, I will fly to other cities to just play their James Bond games as well. Dust Cloud did this before Pokemon Go. Did it in Prague, first city where they did it. You had to 3D print yourself your little plastic gun. You had to get your bullets, pay for it and buy your bullets for the gun from the internet, and then load. You could get 6 bullets onto your gun. And then you would have your map on your mobile phone on your team and the enemy team, and then you had to go catch the guy with a briefcase who has the secret super duper thing that everyone has to catch and everyone has to kill. And so as you were running around the real city of Prague, and you would see from the map where the bad guys are, and then you kill the bad guy, you sneak up on him and you kill him, you get his bullets, what he had left on his gun. Okay, so and now you don't have to print more bullets for yourself. If you die, there's a way to then get yourself recreated and reborn again, and then you need to buy new bullets and join back into the game. The Prague police were absolutely upset because everyone's running around with these little plastic play guns around, shooting at each other and, breaking traffic rules and running across the street and etc. Real people, just like Pokemon Go people, disrupting traffic and so forth. This is James Bond version. This is prototype of James Bond version doing Pokemon Go. And they're now doing this dust cloud thing in many cities. So don't think it stopped with Pokemon Go. That was only the trigger that really kind of pushes this forward. Layer CEO Raimo, he's the one who coined the term, mobile is the eighth mass media. It's not my invention, but I've been promoting it. So I just want to show Raimo, such a cool guy. He skateboards to his office here in the Netherlands. Skateboards to his office. But anyway, I have a presentation about augmented reality being the eighth mass media. Raimo is the one who thought of it. So just want to credit it. It was Raimo's thought. How big is augmented reality? Augmented reality last year was worth $3.2 billion. It's a 5-year-old industry. This is dramatic, very, very fast growth. So it is roughly on par where social media grew in its first 5 years. It is going to be big. So I made the prediction that if augmented reality follows the pattern, the blue line is the pattern of how mobile media grew in terms of users, consumers, then if augmented reality follows the same pattern, the timeline on the bottom is from the launch of augmented reality versus the launch of mobile media. On the top. So if we apply it to the same pattern, then we need to get to 200 million users in 2016, then the blue line holds. We have more than 200 million users now because of Pokemon Go. So that means that by the year 2020, if this graph keeps holding, augmented reality will have roughly 1 billion active users. For context, newspaper circulation is 525 million. By 4 years from now, 2020, augmented reality will have 1 billion active users. All of you in the industrialized world, Western world, America, Europe, and advanced part of Asia, you need to do augmented reality, get involved with it now. The smartphone penetration is there already. All of you in the emerging world, you need to have it on your agenda And then when your national penetration smartphone in use population, not new sales, but smartphones in use in your market hit about 50%, you need to get involved with augmented reality. Then it becomes viable. Now you as your mission, it is not automatic that you have to use augmented reality. But I mean, as an industry, now it is viable. It is not just a prototype silly idea for the future. If you want to see, I have a TEDx video that talks about augmented reality as media. So just go into TEDx and Tomi Ahonen, you'll find it easy on YouTube. Ending a little bit on magic. We are getting superpowers to see through the walls. First mobile phone that sees through walls. Well, it's very, very vague seeing, but nonetheless. Caterpillar has launched a smartphone that has a forward-looking infrared camera that it will actually see, so for engineers to discover, construction people discover metal items in walls, pipes, and so forth. But we are getting to the point where you can actually look at the wall and see, is there someone inside, and where are they walking, and etc. So when I was talking about superpowers, the magic, this is all coming. This is now only a matter of time and technology on how this evolves. But then how about something really practical? Mobile behavior patterns can identify things of what is typical of us as human beings, such as they noticed that Telenor noticed that they can measure from just the pattern of our communication who are illiterate and who are not. So a literate person will react to an incoming text message in a different way than an illiterate person. And how do we telephone people? And who do we call and respond and so forth? Not listening to the message, to the speech, and not reading the messages, but just looking at the pattern of communication. With a 70% accuracy, they can identify illiterate people. And now if we're looking at the mission of wanting to help educate people and get rid of illiteracy, then technologies like this is real magic in helping identify, in this village, there's a lot of illiteracy. Let's bring some literacy assistance there and set up a little school and so on, and get the older ladies trained, because it often tends to be that it's the men that got to go to school and the women did not. And so very much illiteracy is a problem of older women, and so many governments are now moving very actively to try to reduce that and so forth. So that gets me to the end. You will have these slides, you will have the morning slides, and then also the almanac, so it will be all provided through the conference producers. And please be in touch with me. So yeah, I think I'm out of time. Thank you.